The Arizona Coyotes are back in action against the Anaheim Ducks tonight. We talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Locked On Coyotes. I'm Carl Pavlock. Fortunately, no Robin today. She will hopefully be rejoining the show very soon, but have a special guest today. Joining me for the second time is Patrick Brown. Patrick, how you doing today?
Doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on again. Before we get started, I do want to make sure to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen of the day. So, Patrick, we have an interesting game today. We talked about it a little bit before. The Coyotes should have momentum going into this game. They beat the San Jose Sharks 5-2. Impressive win, all things considered. But they do not because of one key thing. I had a whole solo episode about it yesterday. Clayton Keller is out. We now know that he broke his femur.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I was trying to remember all the leg bones, and I'm like, he broke his femur. He is currently anticipated to miss 4 to 6 months. Honestly, not the worst case scenario.
Agreed.
I know a big concern I had was potential knee injury, just because that is what derailed Yashkin and Connor Timmins. Everyone I talked to and said that to, they're like, no, you could see it in like his upper leg. So I'm like, are you just better at looking at broken bones than I am, or what?
Yeah.
Because
those kind of things always bring out the medical professional in everybody, I think. It was scary for sure. And like you said, obviously, awful news overall. And an injury like that with literally one of the strongest bones in your body is scary. And we wish the best for Clayton. But like you said,
absolutely.
as a person for Clayton, as a person and as a professional where hockey is his livelihood, it's reassuring to see the Coyotes literally say in their statement yesterday that he will make a full recovery. Again, as a person first, it's just you're relieved because you don't want to see something permanent that can impact his life in a negative way. And then obviously as a professional and as a hockey player, it's also good to know 4 to 6 months. I guess yesterday morning in the hospital, he was already talking to Nick Schmaltz and Andre Torini about his recovery and about his training. And it's, he's no surprise to anybody, but he's already ready to go. And he's got a long road ahead of him. But with what he has shown this year and the commitment he's shown to the Coyotes, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back even better and stronger.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if nothing else, the Coyotes do have plenty of like staff there who know how to handle lower body injuries.
Yeah, that's a fact.
There'll be a course on that for the offseason.
That'll be a requirement for anybody new coming in. Must have experience treating lower body injuries.
Have you ever broken any kind of bone like that?
Never like that high up. So it's been a long time, but second grade, I broke my foot. My right foot. That was actually, believe it or not, that was an accident playing football in the house with my brother. And then I lied about it until I came clean like 10 Thanksgivings ago. So that was funny. But I broke it. It was actually in the foot. I forget. It's like the metatarsal or something like that. I don't remember the actual terminology. It was something like that. And it was like nothing. That was a low contact type injury. I've actually had worse injuries with sprains. I've sprained both of my ankles in various times in my life, all sports related. And honestly, I've had a harder time recovering from those. But never anything that serious. It was scary all the way around with Clayton, from seeing the injury to witnessing a grown man, professional athlete in that amount of pain is
Yeah.
scary. It sits with you. You see that everybody on the ice, even the referees, kind of all take a step back and kind of watch, pray, hope.
Yeah.
And I was talking with Craig Morgan after everything, and you saw Keller give the thumbs up, and um, it's crazy that's a thing. Like,
Yeah.
he's in so much pain, and something went horribly wrong, but he gives a thumbs up, which is the obligatory thing to do, right? I often
Yeah.
wonder, do they tell you while they're taking you off to do that, or is that just a thing because you're like, oh my god, I'm the guy, I got to give a thumbs up? But it's just crazy that one little sign, and everybody's like, oh, okay, all right, he's okay. Like, it's just an interesting thing.
Yeah. I have cracked I do not remember which. It's either the tibia or the
Oh,
fibula, like
yep.
one of
That's the
the
leg
lower one.
bone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that
What were
was
you? How'd you
riding
do
my
that?
I was riding my bike across the street, across Bell in Surprise.
Oh,
The light turned green,
oh
so a
God.
truck proceeded to go, and I hit the side of the truck. Um, so like the
Like, are we
tire was
talking pickup?
flattened.
Are we
Yeah, it
talking a
was a pickup
pickup
truck.
truck? Okay, okay.
Yeah. And like I snapped off the guy's mirror, and that was the only damage. A flat tire and a broken mirror, and my leg broke. So that was fun. And honestly, the
Did you get an
recovery.
ambulance on scene there? Did somebody call for help, or did you take yourself to the hospital? I gotta know
No,
this. This is a good
I
story.
was I was very young. I was 13, so I was with my mom. They had
Okay,
an
okay.
ambulance. My mom had the presence of mind to be like, "We'll drive him ourselves," because it wasn't that bad. Like I was able to walk around.
Sure, sure.
Ho Honestly, like, the thing that hurt worse was recovery, because like, just,
Yeah.
like, learning to walk
Yeah.
was absolute pain.
Oh, yeah.
I They're like, "Alright, be careful," and I, like, hopped off the table and immediately rolled my ankle,
Yeah, yep.
so
Oh,
that was
I
fun.
remember that too after however long being in a cast, a couple months, right? I was in a
Yeah,
cast a few months with my foot. And I was much younger. I was in second grade, but I remember when they cut the cast off with that little pizza cutter thing. It looked like a
yeah,
pizza cutter. Um, and the first step I put on my foot after 2 months, the only way I could describe it at the time was like you didn't even, it was like I stepped into a hole. Like
yeah,
didn't even feel. So yeah, to your point, and that's another thing with Clayton, the recovery, and it's challenging, and it's we were younger,
yeah,
obviously, and we didn't have the resources and the training resources and that Keller has, but it's doesn't matter. It's challenging. It certainly is a testament to your willpower and your ability for Clayton too to get back on the ice. So obviously wishing him all the best. And I'm glad you were okay. That's a scary accident, Carl.
yeah.
You ran into a truck. That's not a story you hear every day.
No, no, it's really not. And then like I have sprained my ankle a couple of times. I've rolled it like skateboarding. That was not fun.
Yep.
Like I
Yep.
just stepped off and like my
Yeah.
ankle went a different way.
Yep.
Uh,
That
and
was
the only other thing, I've dislocated a toe at a concert, which was
were you in the pit?
yes.
Nice.
Uh, a-
Nice. It
and
sounds like it was
then
worth it then, to be honest.
it was Hawthorne Heights,
Oh.
so not really.
That's good.
And then
Yeah.
and then my friend like put it back in its socket like
Oh, nice.
in the smoking area outside
Nice.
of the marquee. That's how that story ended.
That's
I was just like, "Don't
funny.
touch it," and they're just like, "Hey, look over there," and I'm like, "Okay." And
Were
pop.
you in sandals?
No, I was wearing like Vans.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty hardcore injury if you're wearing Vans too. That is not a light shoe by any means.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
trust me, I bought Doc Martens afterwards, and I'm like, I'm only gonna wear boots to
Steel
concerts.
toe boots to every
Yes,
concert from now on. Yeah.
protect the
Yeah.
feet.
One of my, so I think it was the most recent ankle spraining was I was actually playing men's league softball, and horrible decision to slide into second way late. Like I had no business sliding into second that late. And my toe caught the bag, which was not breakaway. The bag was
Yeah.
not a breakaway bag. My toe caught the bag and my entire body rolled over my foot. And I'll
Oh.
I'll never forget, before I even felt any pain, it was a very severe sprain. I was out of
Yeah.
commission for a while. Before I even felt any pain, the shortstop just looked, he like watched the play and he watched me and he goes, "Oh my God." And he like turned away. And I was like, "What?" And like as I was saying what, the pain set in. That one I actually got gurneyed off. They called an ambulance and put me in an air cast and everything. I don't know how I didn't break it, but
Yeah.
that was actually probably the most difficult injury I had to come back from because it was so severe. Like, you see the pictures of it, even with a sprain, my entire foot was purple. My ankle was purple. It was swollen. And
Yeah.
you know what, though? I caught the next week because the next week was the playoffs and I would not miss it. So I caught and I hit and I'd get a courtesy runner on first base if I got on base. So, and
Nice.
I was 3 for 4. I do have to
Good.
call that
Very nice. Very nice.
also may have permanently messed up my ankle by playing, but that's all another story.
I mean, yeah, yeah. That is always the offside, and I mean, if nothing else, you can say that this injury happened at the best time because Keller's not going to be rushed into recovering this.
Right. I
Like the
agree.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
like the team is like, all right, he's done, he's comfortably done, and the timeline is good for him being at training camp.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
a little bit late, or working on himself, but it looks good, which is really good to see. I posted yesterday that Keller's Ironman streak
Yeah.
is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Uh, the last time he didn't play a game for the Coyotes was April 8th, 2017.
Yeah.
So hopefully he
I
can start the next season.
I'm ashamed to admit I didn't realize he had, it was like I think it's like 359 games or something like that he had.
Yeah,
And I didn't realize it. So after the game, because of course they were winning and I had my story written and we were gonna coast right into the post game press conference, and then that
of course.
happened. And after the game, when I was writing my recap and like I was looking at him and I saw, 2017-18, I believe it was, when he played 3 games that year when he, got
Hmm.
called up, and that was that. I'm like, man, 82 games, 82 games, 70 games, and I think that was the COVID shortened season. 56 games, and that was definitely all the games last year. Holy cow, he hasn't. I'm ashamed to admit I didn't realize he had that Iron Man streak going. And what a bummer!
Yeah.
What a bummer for a way to it for it to go out so close to the end of the season, as well. But so I think I was joking with you. I said, somebody wrap Phil Kessel in bubble wrap.
Yeah,
They recognized him at the game
they
the other
did.
day, which was nice because he is now second, and we'll see where this whole thing ends
Yeah.
between first and second. But it was a nice moment. I saw actually the linesman was standing next to him, and even he was clapping. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I did not realize that Keller had his own Ironman streak going, and for not the biggest guy on the
Yeah.
ice, super impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I will say this, and then we're gonna head to a quick break. Keller was fourth on the Ironman streak, and it's funny because number 3 was Brent Burns.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow.
3
Wow.
of the top
Yeah.
4 Ironman streaks were on the ice last Wednesday, and unfortunately, one of them has come to an end or will come to an end today.
No.
But we're going to talk about that a little bit more right after this. But I got a couple quick messages from our sponsors. And the first is from our friends at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh's chefs really know how to diversify the menu with seasonal recipes like salmon limon and pasta primavera. Very good recipes. You can tell they're diverse because I do not know how to pronounce them well. You get farm fresh seasonal produce and easy to make recipes delivered right to your door every week. I like to make myself food myself mostly, but I do like the idea of having a little bit more structure. Finding someone like having someone send you something, be like, here, try this. Because I'm always looking to try new stuff, and that's a good push to really get you to try something new. What I want you to do is go to HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use promo code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's promo code or that's slash LockedOn16 and code LockedOn16 for 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Also, I have a message from our friends at Built Bar, and that's have you tried the Puffs? If not, you're missing out on one of the best tasting Built Bar flavors. The Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors, like the yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, or banana cream pie, my personal favorite. They're all so good, you're gonna have one that'll be your new favorite. Built bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, including the puffs, and most built bars only have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. What I want you to do is go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, everyone. This is Carl Pavlock, host of Locked On Coyotes. We're back talking with Patrick Brown. Before I get started, I do want to mention if you're looking for another podcast to check out after this, check out Locked On Now. It's available on the Locked On Network. So we have to actually talk about the game that's going to happen, not just the
Our
lack
various
of
sports injuries.
various sports injuries, lack of Keller. What I thought was a really good sign of just like the season overall yesterday was Yan Unique having 2 goals,
Yeah,
first 2 goals of the season.
yeah,
Just one of many Tucson Roadrunners who have really stepped up. Uh,
huge.
and that is what kind of gives me a little bit of hope with Keller being out. Like the
Yep.
the Coyotes have been so good at having like that next man up mentality because they've been dealing
Yeah.
with a lot. Like all teams have this year, like COVID issues, but just in terms of season-ending injuries, this is not new for the Coyotes.
Right.
Is there a player from the Roadrunners or who's currently with the team now who you think could really step up and kind of show what they can do?
Who's currently with Tucson?
Yeah,
Um, so I need to go back and look and see because I don't where's McChelly these days? Is he up or down?
he's up.
He's up. Because that like that to your point, it's almost hard to keep track.
Yeah,
Because there's been that next man up mentality. Funny thing about Unique, obviously he's got 4 career goals, all of which have come against the San Jose Sharks.
very fun.
So that's an interesting fact that he was joking after the game. One of the few light moments where he's like, I think Craig asked him why San Jose. He's like, well, I played them the most. So thought that was a pretty good answer, to be
Yeah, yeah.
honest.
He
But
hasn't played too many games. He's definitely played the San Jose Sharks the most, probably.
yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It's tough to keep track, Carl. You said it best. The next man up mentality is where it's been, and you're looking at how banged up the Coyotes are without obviously Keller, and then Lawson Krause was another bummer to see go down, and
Yep.
you just continue to see. So I think we might be surprised with who we see with who steps up. It's been I don't know if I want to say fun to watch some of these kids develop because it's been painful at
Yeah.
times. But in some ways, it has been fun to watch them step up, and you see players like Unique, like JJ Mosier, who kind of had a breakout earlier this year, and it's just been fun to watch the kids play. The seasons have had a little bit of everything. It's for a rebuilding season, almost best case scenario. They had a mini win streak in there, so everybody could enjoy it, see
Yeah.
them win a little bit, and then they kind of tapered off, and now they're leading the lottery race again. And that's kind of where you want to be if you're Bill Armstrong, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't have anybody in particular that I'm keeping my eye on, I guess, but I'm excited to see who it is because it just seems like it's continued to surprise, um, week after week, game after game with who steps up. And you're not going to fill Keller's shoes, but
Yeah.
somebody will step up, and I'm looking forward to seeing who that is. And what about you? Who do you got your eye on?
So I think it was during Edmonton. At one point, every Coyotes player on the ice had been with the Roadrunners. Because I
Yeah,
think it was Hayton, Michelli, Carcone,
yeah.
Deneen, and Mayo on the ice. And I do not know if I have that right.
It,
Uh, but yeah, there's definitely been someone. Honestly, I think Phil Kessel is going to step up.
oh,
Like with Craig Morgan reporting that Kessel went like
I
straight to
agree.
see Keller, like he knows what this kind of situation is. Like, and we all know that Kessel isn't happy that he wasn't traded,
Yep.
but he
Right.
is also just such a professional. Like you saw that with
Oh
his two
yeah.
setups on unique goals. Like I think he is probably going to be the Coyotes' best player moving down the end.
So
Um,
I misunderstood the question
yeah,
because
yeah.
I thought you
I
were talking
cheated a
about
little.
people. I mean, I could have taken Kessel, Carl. And actually, to your point on that, if we're talking about current Coyotes, I think Barrett Hayden steps up.
Barrett
Um,
Hayton, and he
he's
is also kind of a Tucson guy because he
Yeah, oh,
started
for
the season.
sure. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell you, he didn't do that well the other day in the dot, but I have been really, really impressed with his face-offs this
yeah,
season. You need a good face-off guy. He really seems to be a good face-off guy. There were a couple of occasions earlier this year where he won a draw because of icing, and the Coyotes ended up scoring on that possession, whether or not it was right off the draw or they cycled it a little bit. So I think Barrett Hayton we're going to see step up a little bit. But Travis Boyd is another one. He played very well centering Schmaltz and Keller. So I assume maybe we'll see him up, and maybe Schmaltz moves back to the wing and Boyd will center Richie and Schmaltz. I don't know. That pure speculation.
I
Um,
believe in the last game, Boyd.
he
Well,
was on the
Boyd
third
and
line.
Hayton combined for the final goal with or
Yep.
the second to last goal. So I could see putting Hayton on the wing, having him take Keller's spot, putting him with Boyd and Schmaltz. That
Sure.
seems like a good line for me.
Yeah, Richie did well on the first line. Well, he scored on the
He
first
does, yeah.
line. It was a new look top line the other day, and Richie, you gotta hand it to him.
Oh yeah,
I honestly didn't expect him, and all of his goals. He's that net front. He all of his goals have basically been tap-ins. He's
yeah,
just standing there, and somebody makes a great pass, and he's there. And what do they teach you? Keep that stick on the ice, and that's why.
sure.
And he's in the right place, right time. He fits in well into the system. But I think Richie already has stepped up.
Yeah.
So to me, I got my eye on Barrett Hayton tonight. I think he's going to have a good game. But we'll see. But sorry, I didn't mean to jump back into it, but I misunderstood the assignment, so I wanted to go back and correct myself.
And I do also want to say Hudson Fasching has been recalled by the Coyotes.
Yep.
He's played a couple of games. I think
Yeah.
his last game was March 12th against the Boston Bruins. It'll be interesting to see what he can do.
Hmm.
The Coyotes this year are a team where, especially if you're younger, you have opportunity
Oh
because
yeah.
there's plenty of ice time to go around. You just need to earn it. And I think to your point, like we have been surprised, like pleasantly surprised by like so much, like JJ
Hmm.
Mosier,
Hmm.
Kolyachuk, I think has been
Yeah,
really good.
he has.
So there is definitely a possibility that we aren't even gonna know who the next player to take that big step is. Uh, but I just feel bad for the Roadrunners because I think they're running out of players.
Yeah, it's that's so it goes in the
Yeah,
AHL, right? When you're dealing with a parent club that's banged up, it just kind of is what it is. And it tonight is an interesting matchup. The Ducks have speed. The Ducks have obviously a Calder favorite. I don't know if he's the front runner, but certainly one of the top three
Yeah,
in Trevor Zegras. And it's an interesting matchup. It's going to be a fast game. And we'll see how they match up. But I think the Coyotes have a number of guys who can ring the bell, and you still have that veteran presence. You've got guys like Schmaltz, like
yeah.
Kessel, like Erickson
Oh,
and Strawman, and you've got your veteran Ghost. I mean,
Ghost.
Ghost
Yeah,
is a big one, who can help lead the way. They've been through it before. And you got a guy leading the club like Torini, who I've just been so impressed with all year. Handles
absolutely.
everything with class. He's an amazing human being. Answers all the questions, and a lot of times they're the same questions we ask. It's hard to frame up a "why did you lose" any differently.
Yeah,
Um, and they've got a guy who in Torini who's well equipped to kind of lead by example. So I think we're going to see good things out of this team, and I think we're going to see them rally. Another thing Torini mentioned was every one of those, the entire team basically went by like the medical room, the X-ray room where
yeah,
Keller
yeah.
was, and kind of like touched him on his leg or not leg or shoulder or whatever, to let him know that they were there for him and they were thinking of him. And it's a tight knit group. It has
Yeah.
been all year. It's been impressive to see because I've been on some softball teams that haven't won a game and we hate each other by the end of the year.
Sure.
So it's a tight knit group, and I think we're going to see a bunch of people step up. I like your picks, and I think my pick for tonight's number 29. He's my pick to click, Barrett Hayden.
Nice, nice. I like it. And yeah, Bear has been just a phenomenal coach. Like
Yeah,
he has kept this team together,
yeah,
which is what you need a coach to do in the first year of a rebuild. This is great. We have one more segment coming up, and we're going to talk about the betting predictions for the game. But first, another quick message from our sponsors, and that's from our friends at BetOnline. After months of playing, college basketball has determined the top teams for the Final Four and will determine this year's national champion this coming week. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, you name it. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your latest sports developments, including podcasts and reviews of all the leagues this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And speaking of BetOnline, on betonline.net to look at the odds. Uh, let's see. It looks like the Ducks are the favorite for this one,
sure.
minus 118 on the money line, plus 107. So pretty close.
Yeah,
Uh, over under is set at 6, minus 109 for the over. Or, sorry, it says minus 109 for the over, minus 101 for the under. So I guess the push is the
yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
Not sure I've ever seen that one. Kind of an interesting one. But
You said it's 6.
yeah,
I'm taking
6.
the over. I'm taking the over.
Taking the over. Okay. Uh, and that's how I usually like to handle this segment. Like less about the odds and more about what you think the score is going to be. I will say that the Ducks have lost their last
Yeah,
3 game or 4.
they've
Uh,
really dropped off. Like
yeah,
they were is I think one of Zegras's biggest arguments for Calder, other than the fact that he can do parlor tricks like the lacrosse style goal,
yeah.
is the Ducks were wildly competitive for a while, but they've really dropped off. Kind of the same you see in Detroit with Lucas Raymond. The Red Wings are on a huge slide right now as well. So those teams that were being led by the younger ones are dropping off. And to your point, the Ducks have dropped pretty significantly. So what I have found this season is when you're watching these matchups of the not so good teams, I'm trying to remember who the Coyotes were playing a few weeks ago, and it was a wild game. But when they're playing, I think it might have been maybe it was the Blackhawks. I don't remember, but these not so good games end up being high scoring, fast paced affairs.
Could have been
Um,
Ottawa. They had
might have
the
might have been Ottawa. Might have been
Or I
Ottawa.
mean, there was the 9-2 Detroit game.
That was, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Um, uh, but either way, it's like these games against the bottom tier NHL teams
yeah.
always turn out to be wildly entertaining and a lot of times high scoring because you get a lot of odd man rushes and things like that. So I'm taking the over, Carl. I'm taking the over.
So I double checked. The Ducks are on an 11-game losing
It's
streak.
11 games.
11.
Wow.
They
Wow.
do have it looks like a couple of overtime shootout losses. So,
Sure. Sure.
but 11.
Wow.
Which I'm just kind of glad the Coyotes got their losing streak out of the way
Agreed. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
13 strong there.
yeah,
Thank you, Wedgie. We miss
yeah,
Wedgie.
yeah,
Vamelka. Veggie misses Wedgie. He's now started 6 straight games. I assume he's getting the nod tonight as well. I don't know
I
why he wouldn't.
mean, it's the Ducks. You can put it in kosher. Or here's the problem I always have with the Ducks. I don't trust the Coyotes to ever be able to solve John Gibson.
Sure,
Like
sure.
just in general. Like so I agree with you. Like a high scoring affair definitely seems like the smart bet, but I've been burned too many times by John Gibson just deciding to be a freaking wall against the Coyotes. And you're like, this team is horrible. Why have they only allowed one goal? Oh, because Gibson's just doing Gibson things.
Yeah, I think a lot of the opposition this year has felt that way about Vamelka. To
Yes,
be honest, it
absolutely.
was, I mean, crazy stat for Vamelka. He made however many 39, 40 saves or whatever the other day. It was more than 40 because in the outline, the post game notes from the Coyotes, Vamelka is now one of 4 goalies ever to win 4 games with 40 or more saves
Yeah.
in his rookie season. And the others were Patrick Lalime, Carter Hart, and I can't remember who. There's a third one. I can't remember who it was, but pretty cool stat. And we'll see. Like Coronar, why not go with Melka?
Sure. Sure.
It's I mean it depends on, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. And
Yeah.
if at this point, I hate to put it this way, I know people hate when you say this, but if at this point, if you're trying to tank and I put Coronar in net, but if you're trying to beat the Ducks and Vamelka loves being out there, he said after last game that he wants to play every night. He didn't
Yeah.
care that he's started 6 straight games in 5 different cities over 4 different time zones. He didn't care. He said, I want to play every night. And I think the way he's been playing, you still ride him, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm going to say, I'm awful at this game, Carl, but I'm going to say 4-3 Coyotes win.
4-3
Over.
Coyotes.
4-3. It's the over. 4-3 Coyotes win.
See, my heart is telling me to take the over, but just doing the math, I'm like, there's no way I can justify this. I'm gonna go 2-1 Coyotes.
Oh,
I
wow.
think
Low scoring affair.
I think it's gonna be low scoring. I think it's gonna be one of those bad games that's just low scoring. So maybe a little bit more boring. Like I don't see a lot of passes connecting. The Coyotes are going to be like shifting everyone up a line, so I don't think that's going to be conducive to them scoring.
Sure.
And I I really don't want the Coyotes to be the team that the Ducks break their 11-game losing streak to. That just that hurts
Agreed.
my heart. Uh, so I am going to bet against that. But there are our predictions: 4-3 Coyotes for Patrick. 3-1. What did I say? 3-1
You said
Coyotes.
2-1. You said
2-1.
2-1.
2-1 Coyotes
Close.
on my end. A close game.
Nail biter.
It'll probably be in like overtime
I
or
was I
something.
was about to say, you know what, I'm gonna have a little fun. I'm gonna say 4-3 overtime Coyotes win. That's what I'm gonna
Nice.
throw out there. So
I
yeah.
can't remember what team it was, but they lost 1-0 in overtime to the Buffalo Sabres. And I'm just like, how do you lose?
Was it a shootout on top of it?
No, it was
At
overtime.
least it was an overtime goal.
Yeah,
It was a 1-0 shootout win. Oof, those are brutal games to be at.
they absolutely are. But I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen of today. And now that you're done, check out Locked On Fantasy with hosts Steele Rodden and Philip Livingston. And you can become an expert on your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Patrick, tell everyone where people can find you.
Go on over to the hockeywriters.com. Check out, anything on the Hockey Writers, but obviously I cover the Coyotes, do a little bit of dabbling for the Red Wings, but
Sure.
not much. You can catch me on my the Hockey Writers Grind Line podcast, which is the Red Wings podcast. Drops every Saturday. I will not be on this week's episode because we record on Fridays and got a game tonight.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, head on over to the Hockey Writers. You can find me on Twitter at pbrownhockey. And Carl, thanks for having me. Always
Oh,
appreciate it, and it's always nice to be able to talk hockey with you for a little bit.
absolutely. You are one of my favorite people to talk hockey with. It's why I made sure that the second to last time I was at a game, we made sure
It
to
was
meet
great.
up on that terrace. That's
It
a
was
nice
great.
spot.
Yeah.
Uh, you can follow me at Carl Pavlak FFH. Follow the podcast LO_Coyotes on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. Find the podcast wherever you get your podcast. We are also on YouTube, so thank you to our YouTube watchers. Hopefully, Robin will be back next week. But until then, thank you everyone for taking the time to listen. Thank you for following the show. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you're staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.